It has been said that life is full of coincidences. It has also been said that there is no such thing as a coincidence, that a coincidence is a miracle in which God prefers to remain anonymous. And so I ask you, which do you think is true? Are there coincidences, or is there no such thing as a coincidence? Last week I pointed out that God does not speak in the book of Ruth. There is no obvious divine action in this book. There are only human beings who are interacting with each other coincidentally, miraculously. God acts through human circumstance and through the faithfulness of ordinary human beings. God's hesed, his faithful love, is embodied in human action. And in the case of Ruth, God's hesed is embodied in the extraordinary compassion and hospitality and generosity of Boaz. Like Boaz, God's love and faithfulness is most often shown through our own acts of extraordinary compassion and hospitality and generosity. Ruth ends up gleaning an ephah of grain from Boaz's field, which is roughly equivalent to 30 pounds that she's able to collect that day. And she returns to Naomi and she presents to her this grain and some of the leftover food from lunch. She's brought leftovers with her. And Naomi is astonished. And she asks Ruth, who has been so extraordinarily generous toward her? And when Ruth names Boaz, Naomi is overcome with awe. Awe for Boaz's compassion, but also awe for the mercy of God. Because not only has Boaz generously kept Ruth and Naomi from starvation, but this man is a relative and her nearest kin, literally the one with the right to redeem. And redeemer is a legal term in ancient Israel. A childless, widowed woman could be redeemed by her male kin, who would then marry her and provide her with children and make sure that her inheritance in the community was not lost. But we know that Redeemer also has a theological meaning. When Christians hear the word Redeemer, we think of Jesus, the one who has redeemed us from sin and death through his death and his resurrection, the one who has given us an inheritance of eternal life. There are things that happen in life, friends, that have nothing to do with the will of God, that are, in fact, contravening the will of God. But God still has the power to redeem anything that happens to us and to transform it for his purposes. Paul tells us in Romans 8, we know that God works all things together for good, for the ones who love God, for those who are called according to his purpose. In Boaz, Naomi sees and experiences the redeeming hand of God, the same divine hand that Naomi accused of dealing her misfortune has now opened its palm in blessing. And so this is really the turning point in Naomi's story. She begins to turn away from despair and toward hope. And a story that began with hunger ends with abundant food. And what was emptied out in grief and sorrow is now being filled with the possibility of new life. And Naomi knows that God has not forsaken her. Was it a coincidence that Ruth found her way to Boaz's field? Or was it a miracle? You can decide. But I will say this, that when we make the choice to turn toward God and align our wills with His, even the smallest of coincidences can start to feel like a miracle. Thanks be to God.